Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in to a brand new episode of Snaps. I'm one of your hosts, T-Bob Hebert, joined by SEC record holder for now and QB1, Aaron Murray. Aaron, what's up, man? How we feeling today?
Hopefully, record holder for a lot longer than the next 2 years if Will Rogers does play well in this new offense. So hopefully we can keep that going. But doing well. Happy Tuesday,
I was
Wednesday.
randomly looking it up
What is
today.
today?
Today's Wednesday.
Today is
I
Wednesday.
know it's a bit weirder when we're not live. We
Yeah.
apologize for that
Yes.
again. I'm going to be in California all next week, so probably not going to be live then. Should be back to live after that. So thank you to everyone who's sticking with the show, listen on demand. We're at 75 reviews I saw on the Apple iTunes store. So if you want to drop a review, help the boys get to 100, that would be awesome. Rating review is always a great way to help grow the show. And you can sub the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@volumesnaps, where everything gets put up there as well. And tell your friends, your family, your girlfriends, the people at the bar, maybe the people at the library that you're hanging out with about your favorite college football podcast, Snaps. Damn it, I had something I looked up the SEC records today, Aaron, and I'm not feeling great about your yardage record, unfortunately.
What is it? How far am I up right now on him?
Do you actually want to know?
I would like to know. Yes.
Okay, so Aaron Murray threw for 13,166 yards. Pretty sexy in 4 years, Aaron.
Yeah.
Nice job. Right now, Will Rogers is at 10,689. So we're about 2,600 yards away. That is
Not good.
that's not ideal.
Not good. We need this new pro style offense at Mississippi State to be.
That's the problem. You need them to be very bad. You need them to be very bad at
and very
point.
pro style. Yeah,
Yeah.
almost like a Kentucky style offense from last year, where we want to play slow, not at tempo, snap the ball under 5 seconds, and just keep handing it off. But anyway, listen. I'm fine with the completions. I'm fine with the yardages. I just need him to stay away from the touchdowns. Like, that's the one I take most pride in. So if he can just stay away from the touchdowns, I'll be happy.
All right, let's check on that. By the way, Will Rogers, and so this is his fourth year. So if he breaks him this year, that's legitimate. But Will Rogers in 2021 threw for 4,700 yards.
Are you surprised?
Oh my God.
60 times a game?
No, because look, last year he threw for 3,900, which is still impressive, but this man threw for almost 5,000 yards in a single college football season. All right, Aaron, it looks like you have 121 touchdowns. You and Danny Werfel, the only quarterbacks ever to break the century mark for their career. Hell yeah. Good job, dude.
Okay.
And then Peyton Manning in fourth. Will Rogers has 82. He generally throws around 35 touchdowns. That would still leave him short if this is his last year in college.
He needs 2 years. He needs 2 years, which he does have 2 years, which is why I always say, yeah.
Because this is a more pro-style system. And if he does well in a more pro-style system, it probably doesn't behoove him to come back for another year of college. Why waste another year when you go ahead and start plying your NFL trade if he proves that he can do it under center?
Yeah, I'm hoping Will Rogers throws like 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,300 yards, and gets the fuck out of Mississippi State. That is what I'm looking forward to.
You know who doesn't get enough respect considering he's a national champion quarterback? Chris Leak is fourth all time in the SEC in passing yards and fifth in touchdowns. And nobody thinks about him. And like Drew Lock's up there, but like you remember Drew Lock doing that, right? Like I just remember everybody always hating Chris Leak and thinking that he sucked as he was like winning all these games and playing well. And everybody's like, oh, well, it's really Tebow and he's the future. Like he got overshadowed by Tebow even when Tebow was a freshman and wasn't the main quarterback on the team.
This is why our boy, the mailman, Stetson Bennett, needs Carson Beck to have a below average season. And I don't think it's going to happen. But like, what happens to the story of Stetson Bennett if Carson this year goes and throws 40 touchdowns, wins the Natties in New York? Does that diminish the mailman's accomplishments? Does it diminish the chances of getting a statue? at that
No,
point.
maybe diminishes the chances of getting a statue. That is fair, but no, the mailman's legacy is set, dude. I'm sorry. I know you Georgia fans still think he sucks and he's like not up to snuff for y'all because your heads are so incredibly inflated that I'm surprised that you can still get erections considering all the blood that must be rushing up there 24/7. But Stetson Bennett, again, I mean, we just can't say it enough, was incredible against the good teams. MVPs in all the playoffs and championships. Put some fucking respect on his name and let's Carson Beck. Hey, Aaron, how about this? Let Carson Beck prove a single thing before you go ahead and crown that man. Let him prove just one thing.
Nope. I'm trying to win some money over here. I need him to ball out.
All right, so on the topics today, we're going to touch on a little Pac-12 again. This time maybe put it up against the ACC because when you look, we'll get into it. What does Ohio State need to do this season? And is it simply just beat Michigan? We got a new NIL law, which we're not going to spend very long on, but it's worth mentioning because it is kind of one of the biggest time relevant stories in college football right now. And then a little bomb threat news as well. Also, may talk a little aliens. We'll see if we have time. Aaron has a hard out today. The new movie Gran Turismo, based on a true story, is based on an unbelievable tale of a team of unlikely underdogs, a struggling working class gamer, a failed former driver, and an idealistic motorsport executive come together and risk it all to take on the most elite sport in the world. Directed by Neil Blomkamp, the movie features an incredible cast, led by David Harbour, alongside Orlando Bloom, Jaimin Hansu, Jerry Halliwell Horner, and Archie Madekwe as Jan Mardenborough. You're going to see some of those famous racing competitions in the world recreated through the use of actual Nissan GTs, drones, and best of all, practical effects. We love to see it. In fact, the race sequences are so realistic that the real-life driver, Jan Mardenborough, actually served as the stunt driver for the film. The bottom line is this is a movie that needs to be seen on the big screen. Gran Turismo, based on a true story, is an inspiring, thrilling, and action-packed story that proves that anything is possible when you're fueled from within. Gran Turismo, based on a true story, in theaters exclusively this August 11th. Get your tickets today, rated PG-13. Okay, let's dive in to this Pac-12 conversation. I've seen this floating around in the ether a bit, and it's this question of, will the Pac-12 cannibalize itself? And that is a conversation that's certainly interesting, and I'm willing to explore on, but I think there's almost one that emerges from that conversation when I feel very confident in saying the Big Ten will get a playoff team, the SEC will get a playoff team. I also feel pretty damn confident that either the Big Ten or the SEC will get a second playoff team. So all of a sudden, you have three conferences with one spot remaining. I think the Big 12 is going to be very fun this year because, again, everybody relative to one another is really close talent-wise, and the teams that should be overwhelmingly good just aren't. In Oklahoma, Texas, right? But I don't think anybody's going to be able to emerge in the Big 12. So it comes down to one spot, Pac-12, ACC. Aaron, who do you believe is more likely to make the playoff?
Wow. If all's even, are you saying we like even record? Are we ranking the conferences here? Or are you
No.
just saying,
No. That's a different conversation. If you go even record, it should be the Pac-12, but we can get into that in a bit.
Be the Pac-12. Well, I think that the question should be also even record. I'll throw three teams out there, and this is we'll sidebar this for after, but just a little teaser. Clemson 1 loss, Texas 1 loss, USC 1 loss. Who gets in? I think that's an interesting conversation too, along with this. But who gets in from your original question of the Pac-12 or ACC this year? Like who can actually make it to the top? Who's not going to beat each other up? I would say ACC. I would say it's more of a likely scenario that Clemson goes 12-1. I'm still more of a believer that Florida State's going to be the team in that conference to actually win the ACC and have a chance to go to the playoffs. I would say Florida State more likely to go 12-1 this year, win the ACC, get in, than USC going through their gauntlet, or Washington State or Washington or Oregon getting only a 1 loss in the Pac-12 and making it, and then having to go win the Pac-12 championship on top of that. So I like the ACC. And honestly, if we want to even throw 3 conferences in there, I like Texas more than all 3 of them to be able to go 12-1. I think they have an easier path to make it. I mean, who has an easier path when it comes to just talent on the roster? Who has an easier path to get through? You talk about the Big 12 being fun. We know Texas is more talented. I would say Texas has the easier path to get to a 12-1 with a conference championship than a USC,
No way,
than a
dude. The Big
Clemson, or than
12
a Florida State.
the Big 12 is, I don't care how good you think Texas is, the Big 12 is significantly better than the ACC top to bottom. I mean, significant. I would take TCU over every ACC team not named
TCU
Clemson.
takes a drop. I think TCU takes a drop
not
this
that
year.
much of a drop, dude. They've done a very good job of replacing talent. I think TCU's better than anybody not named Clemson or Florida State. I would definitely take Kansas State over anybody not named Clemson or Florida State. Like, no. The path for Texas to go 12-1 is not easier. And not even getting into the fact that you just seem to be ignoring that that's not what Texas does. It's not what they've ever done. It's not what Sark has ever done. The ceiling is 10-2 regular season for Steve Sarkisian. Like I told you yesterday, after talking to some people, I feel more confident than ever in my Texas takes.
The question has to become,
somehow you steered it back to Texas. You've been hanging out with Brumley for too long.
Way too much. I think that the question really becomes, you look at Florida State. So I'm still a believer, and you can call me wrong here and say that you think Clemson's going to win the ACC. I think Florida State's going to win the ACC. The problem with Florida State is they play LSU week 1. I think LSU wins that game. So now all of a sudden for Florida State, you have to win the next 12 games in a row.
Yeah.
And
all margin of error is eliminated.
So I think that's the hard part for me, because I think they do take care of business versus Clemson. I think they do end up winning the championship. But I don't know if they survive 12 straight wins after losing to LSU. Now, if they beat LSU, then I feel really good about the situation. But I think Florida State's a team, to me, is good enough to make the playoffs. I just think the margin of error goes down, obviously, when you lose week 1 to LSU. So I think they're going to be a
so you're calling Texas, in that logic, then you're calling Texas beating Alabama, because otherwise they're going to have the exact same situation where they lose to Alabama. They're suddenly going to have to run the table in a conference that they never, ever, ever run the table.
I guess you're similar. Yeah, both of them have early losses that could hurt them. I would say
you're seeing it now.
I think Texas can beat Alabama.
For sure.
I was on a radio show this morning. Everyone is just sucking Alabama's dick. I just don't feel it this year, man. Like,
I feel the same way about you in Texas.
I just don't feel it. I know you do about Texas. I think Texas can go in there and win it. I think it's more likely that Texas beats Alabama than Florida State beats or LSU. I think LSU is just that good this year. I'm sipping the LSU Kool-Aid. I think the Pac-12 is just too hard. I do. I think those teams. I think the Pac-12. There's 5 or 6 really good teams that on any given day can beat each other, and it's not like one has to have an amazing day to do it. I still think USC is the better of all of them, but I just think that it's going to be an exciting. I think the Pac-12 is more exciting than your Big 12 this year. When it comes to games,
I would agree that. Hopefully we can watch the games, but no, I mean, look, I after doing our Pac-12 quarterback rankings yesterday, which if you missed it, I'd go back and listen to it. Like, you will immediately recognize just how frisky this conference is. I mean, by far the best collection of talent, the best position. And like we said yesterday, even the teams that don't have settled quarterback races like UCLA, Arizona State, Stanford, maybe save for Cal, they all have like genius, exciting offensive minds. I mean, I just saw the headline right before we started the show, so I couldn't dive into the article. Kenny Dillingham, the new quarterback whisperer. Like, okay, here's a Pac-12 question. How worried, Aaron, are you? Give me the quarterback perspective. How worried should we be about Bo Nix post Dillingham? Because Bo Nix's best football in his career, his freshman year and this last year, have all come when he's been paired up with Kenny Dillingham. Look at somebody like Michael Penix Jr. When was Penix Jr. great at Indiana? When he had Kalen DeBoer. Sure. When was he not? When they were gone. When he get great again? When Kalen DeBoer came back. So all of a sudden, we've seen Bo Nix be incredible, but no more Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah, but I will defend Bo Nix again in the sense of, to me, yes, the relationship between an OC and the quarterback is pivotal. I was fortunate enough to have a OC for 4 years, so like we knew each other well. Bobo knew what I liked. I knew what he liked. Like there was that relationship that just made everything so much easier come game days. Bo Nix was I thought played really well his last season at Oregon, or excuse me, at Auburn. It wasn't a Bo
Okay.
Nix issue. It wasn't an offensive issue. It wasn't a coordinator issue. It was a we don't have talent around Bo Nix issue. That's it. Go watch the games. He played really well. He just had to improvise a lot. He had to use his legs 24/7. I remember calling the game versus Georgia, and he's driving the ball up and down the field. Ball goes through Shanker's hands, the tight end, first possession, should have been a touchdown. Third quarter, ball goes right through the receiver's hands on a dig route from left to right. That should have been a first down to keep the game somewhat close before Georgia kind of ran away with it. Like it was a we don't have players around Bo Nix issue. So will there be a drop off because of a new coordinator? Maybe a little bit. But I still am a believer of I've seen enough good football Bo Nix with or without his coordinator to know that this kid's gonna have a special season.
What's the most annoying thing that happened as a quarterback? Just like somebody fucks up a protection, or somebody drops a touchdown, or somebody tips a ball and then it gets picked. Like an offensive player.
Or a receiver gets tackled at the 1 yard line. That always pisses me off too.
Oh
It's like,
man, because then
dude,
you lose.
get your ass in the end zone. Just it's 1 yard, man. I mean, it's like I understand like blitz pickup sometimes, halftime it's the quarterback fucks up, offense like they're but like you have 1 yard to go. You're telling me you can't figure out a way to get in the damn end zone with 1 yard to go?
My old man used to always talk about how he felt like balls that hit the receiver's hands and pop up and get picked should not count as interceptions. It should be like an error, like in baseball or something. All right. Okay. So look, to sum up this Pac-12 ACC thing, I think we're of the same mind. If you're a betting man, I think you bet on the ACC because there's so much good in the Pac-12 that it feels like they do cannibalize themselves. But at the end of the year, if you're telling me I have a one-loss Big 12 champion, or let's start with this. If I have a one-loss ACC champ and a one-loss Pac-12 champ, I'm absolutely giving the nod to the Pac-12 champion.
Yes.
If there's one loss Big 12 and one loss Pac-12, well,
Pac-12.
then maybe,
Pac-12.
well, yeah, okay, yeah, but also then maybe the SEC and the Big 10 don't get two different teams in. Like I would not put a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan over a conference champion that went through that gauntlet. So that would actually be very exciting because then I would see SEC champ, Big 10 champ, and then two other conferences, which is kind of the dream. I don't know if have we had a 4-conference playoff? When Washington, maybe that's a good question. Actually, we should look that up.
Have had one.
No,
I mean,
we definitely have.
Yeah.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
Well, you
or
said
conference that doesn't have
I'm saying
two.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Let's agree this. If I think everyone in the country can jump on this. All these conferences are good enough that if your conference champion has a one loss, they're in.
Yes, unless you would end up with 5 and then the ACC would get left out. Like if you had 5 one-loss champions,
Yes.
But yes, I agree. That's a good point, Aaron. Nobody's going to get jumped this year.
No one's getting jumped
because of how good everybody is. Okay, let's zero in then on a team with playoff expectations every year, and that's Ohio State. The Athletic had a very interesting article where they did an Ohio State fan survey, and they polled over 1,000 Buckeye fans and asked them some key questions. It appears that investor confidence remains high with the Buckeyes. Over 50% of responders expect Ohio State to go 12-0. It's not an unreasonable expectation whatsoever. And kind of the bottom line is, Aaron, all they say is beat Michigan. That is all that matters. And it's kind of funny. I don't know, like, is there another parallel to the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry in all of college sports? Not in its intensity or other things like that, because absolutely there's great rivalries throughout the country. But is there another parallel in terms of the two teams have reached such a point that the rest of their conference is kind of trivial, and it literally just comes down to that only game? I don't know that I can find something like it anywhere else.
No, I don't think you can. I think they are the kings of the mountain, and it has been like that forever, though. I mean, Ohio State has run it, and now all of a sudden Michigan's finally caught up and has won the last 2. So I am fascinated by that article, though, of the sense of the polling of it just beat Michigan and it's a successful season. Because let's not forget, they were a field goal away. They were an injury away from winning the national championship last year. I think Ohio State versus TCU, I don't know if it would have been the same outcome of like 65-7, probably like 50-21. I mean, they would have
Ohio
beat
State's
the brakes
winning
off
that
TCU.
game. I think we can feel
Ohio State's
comfortable
winning
in
it.
saying that.
Ohio State's, they were that close from Marvin Harrison Jr. not getting knocked out or making a field goal at the end of the game from winning a national championship. And you can't tell me if you were a fan at the end of that game, if they did beat TCU, and you would say, was this a successful season? 100% of fans would have said yes.
Yeah,
100% of fans would have said yes.
But
like,
they did.
I don't buy into that. Oh, it's just beat Michigan and we're happy. No, it's if what we just talked about, if there's a 2-loss Pac-12, a 2-loss Big 12, and Ohio State loses to Michigan but gets into the playoffs and ends up winning a national championship, we're talking about Ryan Day being an incredible Ohio State coach. We're talking about, do we give Ryan Day an extension?
His legacy is immediately made. I mean, he'll get an extension. He's like 45-6 or something.
So I get you want to beat your rival. I get you want to win the conference. This is still, you win a natty and all is you could lose to Michigan for the next 5 years, but if you win a natty 2 times in that span, no one's questioning you as a head coach.
I agree. So I mean, I guess if Michigan, if Ohio State fans, to be completely honest, they would say beat Michigan in a successful season or win a national championship. But it is clearly unsuccessful if you lose to Michigan and fail to win a national championship, which is what they did last year. And those are, it's a high bar because I mean, what they finished 11-2, I suppose, right? 11-1 regular season, and then a barely playoff loss to Georgia. But hey, man, that's the expectation. That's the breaks. That's what Ryan Day has set there. And now you look at this year, Michigan looking to win their 3rd Big Ten title in a row, first time since 1992. And they look like they have all the advantages. The game's going to be back in Ann Arbor. They have all the returning players. Ohio State's working a new quarterback. Ohio State's got offensive line concerns. The survey had O-line problems as the biggest concern on the entire team after they lose 3 starters, including All-American. Still don't have your starting center, right tackle, and then you don't even know who your quarterback's gonna be. What can you tell me about Kyle McCord, Aaron? It seems like that's who Ohio State fans expect to win that job.
Yeah. I think that's the guy. I mean, the only one on the roster with playing experience, came in there, I think a couple of years ago, played really well. Big kid, great arm. And when you look the way this offense is built, you want a kid that can push the ball vertically down the field. And that's what he can do, accurate with a good arm. When you got Marvin Harrison Jr., a Buka back, you want to get those guys the ball in their hands. I mean, it's the best receiving core in America. So give me the quarterback that has experience, that I trust with accuracy, and can take care of the football. And I think that's going to be him. I mean, I'm not worried about this offense. You and I have talked about it enough. This offense is going to be elite. They got the running backs. They got the receivers. The offense line will figure itself out. And I do think they have enough quarterback who doesn't need to be a first rounder to make it work. They are in a good spot. Defensively is where they got to get better. They got better when it came to points per game last year given up. Besides 2 games, they got crushed by Michigan. They got crushed by Georgia. They got to get better in the secondary when it comes to stopping the pass. I mean, for goodness sake, J.J. McCarthy, who was abysmal throwing the football last year, made him look like a JV football team. Yeah. Same thing with Georgia and their passing attack. They made some improvements.
That is also, though, built. Isn't that a bit built through the weakness in the trenches, though? Because one of the reasons why they were susceptible to J.J. McCarthy is they were terrified of getting pushed around by Michigan's offensive line. And so because of that, they start committing.
Pushed around.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, but if you're not good enough on your front 7, then you're forced to commit more to the box. And that's when J.J. McCarthy was able to beat you over the top with like single high man coverage.
I don't know if there's a defense that maybe a couple. I give Michigan crap for the offensive line last year and winning the Joe Moorhead Award, but it was a really good offensive line. It was a very good offensive line with a running back that would have been in New York if he didn't get hurt, and a running quarterback that was run first. So there wasn't a team that was going to face Michigan last year that was going to say, okay, the majority of this game, we're going to have to commit a safety into this box. So yeah, Ohio State's front needs to be better to maybe put Ohio State in situations where, or excuse me, to put Michigan in situations where, it's 3rd and long. Yeah. But I would still say that the bigger issues are going to be secondary for Ohio State getting better. I'll say this major point real quick. Michigan will win the game this year. But Ohio State and the brand of football that Ohio State plays gives them a better chance to win a national championship.
Not
just
this
like
year.
last year.
Not
no,
this
just
year.
like last
Not
year.
This
yes.
year. Not this year,
Their
because
brand
this
of
is going to be
their
the
brand of
peak
football.
Michigan. I know where you're getting at. I
No,
just don't agree. I just don't
peak
agree.
Michigan still doesn't have the athletes or the explosiveness to beat a Georgia, doesn't have the athletes or explosiveness to beat LSU or Alabama. They're the poor man's version of Georgia and Alabama.
Hard disagree. I think they're a rich man's version of Georgia and
They're a
Alabama
poor
this
man's
year.
version of them.
Okay, so
Why?
real quick on
What
the
gives you
NIL
confidence in the
front.
offense? You think you
They're
see the
returning everybody. They had 2,000-yard rushers last year, Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum.
Where do
Donovan
you see
Edwards
the
averaged
explosives on the
7
outside?
yards a carry.
What is beat Georgia? What is given Georgia the biggest issues the past year?
Yeah,
Alabama
but we had all
throwing
these
the
same
football,
conversations
and
about
Ohio
why
State
Michigan
throwing the ball.
We had all these same conversations though about why Michigan would never pass up Ohio State, and they did. So let's say they can't pass up Georgia. They added the beat UJ period. And you know me, I'm not as sold on Georgia as all y'all are. I get it. Let's crown him. You're gonna crown him. Why even play the fucking season, Aaron? We'll just let you and your friends bark at each other's face, and then you can take home a third national title. How about that?
I'm with it. Let's go. Let's fuck. It's been 80 years. Let's just move on and get a new one. Yeah, let's go.
Real quick on the NIL
you put
front.
Michigan's brand of football on the same field as Georgia's brand of football, they're getting their ass beat. Ohio State's different,
Not this
man.
year.
You need offense beats defense, man. In today's game, offense beats defense, and not old school offense. You need the new school offense to beat an elite defense, which they're gonna have to face to win a championship.
Spoken like somebody with a fresh ass Tampa Bay fade. Okay. That fade loves spread football. No appreciation for how the big boys do it up north. Unbelievable. I'm just jealous. Your hair does look great. And you're obviously stunningly good looking. Okay, new NIL law really quick, because I know you're on a hard out here. Tommy Tuberville and Joe Manchin, one former coach, one former player, a couple of senators now. Still crazy to me that Tuberville's center. Proposed a new bill called the Pass Act of 2023. I'm going to run through this very quickly because I think NIL conversations are boring. Here are the highlights. This bill would ensure an equal playing field by prohibiting NIL from being used as inducement. It would also require a national registry of boosters, collectives, etc. It gives student athletes some great health insurance coverage after they're done playing. The bigger the school, the more protection they have to provide. It established protections for student athletes beyond the playing field. Education on financial literacy, having agents need to have the requirement of like getting accredited and stuff. So like if you want to be an NFL agent, you have to get accredited by the NFLPA, right? It'd be the same type deal. It would also strengthen oversight and enforcement of NIL activities and ban some things from being advertised like tobacco and whatnot. It would establish national standards for NIL activities, so no more state law to state law. And interestingly snuck in there is a new transfer rule. They would basically be getting rid of the transfer portal. It would be students would not be allowed to transfer without at least 3 years at their current school. And that's like barring like a depth. So it's kind of be going back to the old system. Yeah. Here's the deal. This is kind of much ado about nothing to me for a couple of reasons. I know people are trying to push this hard because a lot of people have vested interest in pushing it, but there's been about a dozen of these bills. None of them has gotten past the first step of the legislative process, but more so than anything, Aaron, no pay for play sounds good. How do you do it? How do you legally codify when advertising crosses over into pay for play? It's really easy to say, look, we're going to stop pay for play and it's not allowed. But guess what? That's what all the state laws say right now. You know what I'm saying? Like every state law says it right now, and it doesn't mean anything.
I think the more interesting thing, and this is something different from your article, but it does touch on the NIL, was more of what I read today, where they're working. There's numerous collectives right now that actually have sat down with SEC officials and NCAA officials and are proposing a revenue split with the universities. And the big issue with that is if a player gets paid revenue split from these major TV deals, are they going to be classified as a worker of the university? Well, what the collectives are proposing is the money will pass through the collectives at each university. So the student doesn't become an employee of the university. The student is just benefiting from the collectives getting paid, the collectives taking the money and then paying the student athletes from there.
So still
Trying to find the workaround.
Still to me, separate conversations. What does that have to do with a local business owner wanting to advertise to the
It has
player?
nothing to do with it. I'm just saying, like, this is just NIL. Like, to
No,
me,
look, no,
I'm
that's a
bored.
fight.
I'm bored with the other conversation. Like, I am with you. Like, I don't think people give a shit about this kid getting paid by the local mom and pop. I do think the next evolution of NIL is this discussion of, can you take money from these massive TV
Yeah.
contracts and work it into a way that these student athletes get paid?
No, to be clear, that's a fight that's going to have to be had as well. Like, all of this
Yes.
is just a putting off of the players getting their hands in the TV revenue, because like that's kind of the genius of NIL, and why I don't understand why the NCAA just isn't kind of more accepting of it. Is the genius is players are being paid and you're not having to do it. Whereas pretty soon here, schools may have to start giving up some of their money. You want to hear the dumbest crime I've ever heard of? One of the all-time dumbest. Kansas offensive lineman Joe Krause was arrested Monday. He was charged with, quote, aggravated criminal threat, causing terror, evacuation, or disruption, as it looks like Joe allegedly called in a bomb threat against the Kansas football facility. Why I say this is the dumbest crime I've ever heard of, I cannot fathom, like, it could not have been hard for the police to track this down, because the only people who care about Kansas football enough to call in a bomb threat on the building are going to be people who have been like directly affiliated with the program, right? So already you're working with a way smaller pool of guys. And I don't know Joe's exact story. He appeared in 2 games in 2022, hasn't appeared, or 2020, excuse me, hasn't appeared a game in the last 2 years. But it would appear that he was terribly upset, and so he tried to threaten a football program that nearly no one cares about except for me, because I love Jalen Daniels.
Wild. What a world.
Completely wild.
Wild.
Go
Jayhawks.
Yeah, rock chalk, year. Baby. Kansas
Yeah,
gonna be
good
this
year.
year. Dude, if
Don't sleep on them.
Kansas sneaky pick to win the Big 12 with Jalen Daniels. Okay. How about that? How about that, Aaron Murray? See, you can't even wrap your head around that, because you're so obsessed with burnt orange and Boomer
I am
Sooner.
so obsessed. I am.
You can't even get there. Your little small smooth brain can't.
Lance Leipold, baby, let's go. Return the whole offense. Got your quarterback.
I mean, he's won a lot of championships, you know.
Yeah.
In on his resume.
Why not?
Aaron, do you believe in aliens?
No.
Not at all. Like, in the entire universe as we know it, you don't think there's any other form of life out there?
No, I do. I'm kidding. I do.
What about intelligent life?
Yes.
Okay, better question then, because I'd agree with you. Mathematically, it feels like it has to be, right? Do you believe we've made contact with aliens?
No.
I don't think I do, but I'm pretty intrigued about what's going on in Capitol Hill right now. Unfortunately, we're kind of out of time today, so we're going to have to touch on this a bit later in the week, which would be tomorrow, because that's our last show for the week. YouTube.com/@VolumeSnaps. Hit the like button. Help the boys get to 2K, y'all.
So close.
You know, obviously they're going to get juiced up a bit, I think, when we get back live. But yeah, hit the like button, sub to the channel, share it with your friends. Again, we're getting up there on reviews on Apple and Spotify as well. Every time you review it, you help out the show, and you can be honest about it. You know, if you don't like it, that's cool. I get it. But if you do like it, you know, leave a good review, good comment. When we hit 100, we can go through, pick out our favorites. And a huge thank you to Ryan Brumley, Paul Farrington, Pat Gunther, Adam Gracia, Danny Cardenas, Papa Colin, and the Volume for having us here and allowing us to have so much fun doing this every day. We'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of Snaps. And go check out Gran Turismo. Okay. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. Video game player turned into a real race car driver. Shout out Jan Mardenberg. I really did not know why in the hell they would make a Gran Turismo movie until I learned about that story. Pretty badass, Jan. Shout out, dude. We'll see you later on a new episode of Snaps.